Hey guys, it's been a little bit since I've done my last Q&A video for Legends, so we're going to do another one today. I like to throw one of these in every here and then. Just, a different type of video, something you could just throw on in the background and listen to while doing something else. I think it's good to do this every once in a while just to have that kind of content. So yeah, basically just made a post here as we should be getting into, this is before Vegeta released, so we might be getting some comments here asking like, oh, who do you think is going to come out? But obviously the Super Vegeta has been out for a good 5 days now. But again, this post was made prior to him coming out. Wanted to give it a little bit of time for people to respond to this, and now we're going to take a look at the responses here. But I said, as we should be getting an LF banner tomorrow, I should have a decent bit of content to make this week, but it's been a bit since I've done a Q&A video for Legends, so just want to make one of these videos now. So questions, hot takes, whatever, I'll react to any comments we get here. So we'll just scroll through these. I'll react to as much as I can. Again, typically shoot for like 45 minutes to an hour for these videos, just to at least give people enough time to just, again, have this on in the background while they're doing something else. So let's begin. First comment we have, will I ever go for rank 1? This question should be more so like, can I ever go for rank 1? And the answer is probably no, because at this point, when did they make that matchmaking change? Because they not only was it a matchmaking change, but they also changed the way that RP works. RP basically now is a fixed amount that you get per win, and you lose per loss. The way it used to work was you used to gain and lose RP depending on the difference between your current RP and the opponent that you fought and either you beat or lost to. And what ended up happening was, when you were the person who was like top 1 or top 2 or like super highly ranked up, a lot of times you ended up fighting people that were like not even remotely close to your RP level. And what it did is they just ended up giving you 1 RP per win. And when you lost, you literally lost like 60 RP. Right? So it literally took like 30, 40 matches to recover from losing 1 match. And obviously that is more so indicative of somebody, I think, who's more skilled. And in that regard, I think in terms of how that matchmaking system worked, it more accurately captured and promoted better players to be higher ranked, as opposed to the system right now, which is more so promoting people who just play the game more. When you have a system that has a fixed amount of RP like this, as long as you lose 1 match and win 2 matches, you're going to be climbing the ladders, right? You're going to be progressing your rank to a higher point, as long as you're just winning more than you're losing. Whereas back then, you had to legitimately have like a 90% plus win rate to even be remotely competitive with the top ranked people. So what that means is the current system, I'm actually going to pull this up. Let me scroll down to my game here. Okay, so here is PvP. Let's just go to the rankings here. So for this current season, it's actually relatively close. Typically the way it works is like the top person or the top 2 people are like so far and away above the rest of the, like, let's go to last season and see what this is like. Yeah, this is exactly what I was just talking about. Look at, actually looks like the top 2 places tied last season. Look at the top 2 people compared to the rest of the rankings in this season here. 70,000 RP for spots 1 and 2. And then the 3rd place person has 53,000. And then 4th place is 44, and then 36, and it just keeps dropping off. Like, look at 1st place compared to 5th place. The 5th place person has half of the RP of the 1st place person. I don't really think this is a great system for getting like super high, like top 5, top 10. Like it's way too time intensive to get super high ranks like this. However, I do think this is a better system for the majority of players, in terms of like in terms of being like an actual competitive system. This is a very bad system, but I think for the majority of players it is better. So I don't really have a major issue with this. But in terms of actually going for like rank 1, let me scroll over to back to Chrome here. In terms of actually going for rank 1, like me saying I could do it is not like a flex. Like, I would actually say a majority of people playing the game could probably get rank 1. It's just a matter of how much are you playing, right? if you have somebody who's playing the game for like 20 hours a day and is literally only playing PvP, if you are playing Dragon Ball Legends PvP for 20 hours a day, starting from the first day of the season all the way through until the last day of the season, you're probably going to get rank 1 as long as you have a 70% win rate, 60% win rate, right? So it doesn't take some massive amount of skill to get rank 1. The problem right now with getting rank 1 is the time investment. It is just like you literally have to make the game your life for 2 weeks in order to get rank 1 in PvP. And it's not something that I can physically do. Not saying I can't like tough it out and like, you know, I have, there's an issue with like my stamina or something. Like I actually have like other things to do in life than play the game 20 hours a day. So I can't, because that's the restriction there. All right, next question. Did they rig the rates on Super 17, or does Toshi just like to see me suffer? From Iron Cane, yeah. Heard Iron Cane had a rough time summoning for Super 17, unfortunately. Who is your most wanted Legends Limited character who we still don't have in the game? Most wanted Legends Limited character that we still don't have in the game. I mean, I could just say like Final Form Frieza, but we obviously have full power Frieza in the game. So I'm going to say Demon King Piccolo, because there's no premium summonable version of him. And by premium, I mean Ultra or LF character, right? We obviously have multiple summonable versions of Demon King Piccolo. We have the yellow one, the original one. And then we have the purple transforming one, which that character actually was my favorite character in the game for a long time. But I think a Legends Limited Demon King Piccolo would be awesome. I actually would prefer if he was an Ultra, just because I think they could do a really sick job with his Ultra intro animation, killing Shenron. Like that could be such an iconic intro for him. So that's my most wanted character, I would say. At this point, they can just Zenkai Green IT Goku. We've had more broken units before. Also, they need to increase the rates for new EX units. Yes. There's no way in hell the new EX units should be harder to pull than the new LF. I don't really understand their philosophy behind LF, or behind EX characters. I have been talking about this for a long time. They release these EX characters that are very bad. Like, who remembers EX Final Form Frieza from the Goku and Bardock banner? Like, these characters are legitimately horrible. I would actually just say there's no point in EX characters existing in the game, because there's got to be some kind of dev time invested in the development of those characters, right? In designing the kits, they got to get the art commission for the characters. They have to have, first of all, the abilities are created, then they're translated into the different languages in the game. Like, instead of going through the trouble of doing that for an EX character, why don't you just, one, make them a sparking? That's option number one. Or option number two is don't create those characters and focus that development time more so on creating better summonable characters, put more investment into the animations, make those premium characters feel a lot better. I would say for, again, a banner like the Goku and Bardock banner that had two EXs that are both pretty bad with the Bardock and the Final Form Frieza, instead of doing two EXs like that, give us one sparking. Give us one new sparking on the banner. Don't have to worry about, giving us EXs. Nobody really cares. So I'm kind of over the thing where it's like, if only they made EXs better. Like, now my mindset is not so much on them making EXs better. My mindset is more so just on, let's not release any more of these characters. Like, let's just forget about EXs. Like, I guess we could sort of ask the same question about hero characters. Like, why are they not releasing new hero characters? Yeah, the answer to that question is why they should not release any more EXs. Right? It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. Zenkais should change Z abilities. Change my mind. I don't want to change your mind because I agree with that sentiment. I don't think that Zenkais should not have terribly outdated Z abilities. I think the way that they should do this is they should just, so let me actually pull up the site here. Okay, let's go to characters. Let's just go to Zenkai. So who's like a recent Zenkai? Well, this guy's not a recent Zenkai, but he just got an equipment, so we can pull up Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta here. And we can pull up Super Saiyan 4 Goku too. Let's pull them both up. So Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, obviously he gets a Zenkai. He's buffing Red Vegeta Clan, which is that would be pretty nice to have right now for Super Vegeta. Right? He's giving a lot of stats to Red Vegeta Clan characters. Would be pretty nice to pair him up with Super Vegeta to get all these stats. The problem here is this guy's only buffing 38% to blast attack. He's not buffing a second stat. This is not entirely a bad setup though, right? I think at least the fact that he's buffing the same tag with his Z ability as his Zenkai ability is not bad. But for the most part, you really don't want to force yourself to put a character like this on the bench because you're missing out on 38% of an entire other stat from a Z ability only buffing one stat. So in my opinion, when they give older characters Zenkai buffs, or they give older characters Zenkais in general, they should be looking at their Z abilities and making sure that they buff at least 2 different stats. So when, for example, they give this Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta a Zenkai, 38% to tag GT or tag Vegeta Clan base blast attack, they should just add blast defense to this. That's it. And obviously it would come down to their discrepancy as to how they would change the Z ability, whether or not it would be base blast defense, whether or not it would be base strike attack. Like what if you just buff both offenses instead? Maybe he buffs strike defense. I don't know, like it doesn't matter. But something to make the Z abilities of these really old characters like not terrible. Because there's still a lot, like even if we uncheck this and we scroll all the way down, like there's still like a bunch of super mega old characters that don't have Zenkais. And when we think about what's going to happen with those characters when they do get Zenkais, like who's like a super old character that doesn't have a Zenkai? Let me see. Like, okay, I don't want to do him. What is Super Saiyan? Is this like what is this? It's like not loading. A lot of these characters do have Zenkais. Yeah, like Cooler. Like, let's pull up this guy. If we ever get the loading screens here. But a character like, I don't know, Red Zamasu, a character like Goten Trunks, like these characters. Well, actually, no, I don't remember what these guys' Z abilities are. Looks like these are not going to load for whatever reason. But so let's just picture a character that has like, I don't know, 25% to base blast defense for Saiyans, for like these super old characters. Like they're gonna get a Zenkai, and like they're automatically, even before we see what they're doing with the Zenkai buff, they're not even going to be considered for bench because it's such a bad Z ability. And when you Zenkai a lot of these characters, a lot of the time you're only considering how good their bench capabilities are going to be. So I would agree. I mean, I think this is not going to be an unpopular opinion at all, right? I mean, characters should have Z abilities updated when they Zenkai, make them a lot more valuable. I would agree with this. When am I going to revisit the character who's the strongest in the universe? And then looks at the next comment is the same comment. And that means that this comment crosses this comment out, so I don't have to address it. What's your prediction for 6th anniversary? Also, what's your expectation from new game events they announced? New game event they announced. I'm not entirely sure what this is referring to, but in terms of the 6th anniversary, I haven't really sat down to think a ton about it yet because we still have about 3 months before it's even like a consideration, right? So I don't know. I think they are definitely building up GT for something. We do have confirmation that the GT team is going to get buffs not only during that January campaign, but also at some point throughout the year as well. And if we're going to be relegating the majority of these months to being episode campaigns, that doesn't leave a lot of room for GT to get buffs outside of anniversary, right? Because what are they going to do? Do another GT episode campaign? There's no way they're going to do another one. So I think what's going to happen is they gave GT a jump start at the beginning of the year with that campaign where we got Spirit Bomb Goku and Super 17. And now we're going to have, again, the Cell Saga campaign. I think we're going to have one campaign in March. And then I think we're probably going to have one more. So we're going to have the Cell Saga one that's going on right now. This campaign goes until March. I think what'll happen is we'll have 2 more episode campaigns after the Cell Saga campaign, and then we'll jump into the anniversary. And I think it's very, very highly likely that anniversary, some part of the anniversary, is going to be GT related. It's very similar to the situation last year, right, where we had Universe Reps with 17, then we had Ultra Hit, then we had Revival UI Goku, and then we had, a break. We got some future buffs, Ultra Rose, the Mega Rising banner with like Cell and Trunks, then we had the Majin Buu Saga stuff, and then when the anniversary rolled around, of course, we got more Universe Rep buffs with the Part 1 characters, Goku and Frieza, so... I think that's very likely. At some point during the anniversary, GT will fall in there. I think a lot of people are expecting Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta to be an Ultra. The fact that they did not give us an Ultra for the GT episode campaign, I'm actually kind of thinking maybe it won't be Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and instead it will be Super Saiyan 4 Goku. But I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta would be a lot more hype, but Super Saiyan 4 Goku is a pretty popular character. Do I think Candy Vegeta will ever be a playable character? In that same vein, do you think it's possible for a Super Saiyan Hercule or Monaka? I definitely think it's possible, right? I mean, the good thing about Candy Vegito is they don't have to give him a lot of animations, right? It's literally just a black dot. It's what the character would be. And then the animations would just be him moving around, right? It would require minimal work. So, for a game like this, that I think one of the reasons why we don't get like a ton, like a metric ton of releases, is because a lot of individual work goes into these characters, right? In terms of animations, in terms of kit design. For a character like Candy Vegito, if they were to actually do Candy Vegito, I think they at least wouldn't have to divert a lot of resources in terms of designing the animations and stuff like that to him. So that could be interesting just based off of the fact that it could allow for other characters to come out at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I think those kinds of characters are possible for sure. We got Bulla, who doesn't even like attack. Like all of her attacks are just Vegeta. So I think it's possible, yeah. Do I think we'll finally get the Blue Bros or Gogeta Blue Zenkai this year? And what's my opinion about Evolution Blue Vegeta and Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken and Goku? They really fell off. So I'll address the first point first. So by Blue Bros, I think he means just the tag Blue Goku and Vegeta, or Gogeta Blue. I mean, Gogeta Blue is a full year older than them. If they actually go the entirety of 2024 without Zenkai and Gogeta, like Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, I will straight up call them dumb. Like, it's impossible. He came out in 2020. 2020. There's actually, I give it like a 99% chance that we'll get his Zenkai at some point this year. In terms of the Blue Goku and Vegeta, I think it's also I think it's very highly likely we get their Zenkai as well, but I don't think it's 99% like Gogeta's is. The problem with LF Zenkais is we don't get them enough. We are think about the fact that we basically get one LF per month, and that's not a new concept. We've been getting one LF per month for years now. They do not give us one LF Zenkai per month, so we are significantly behind. Like, we just got Grade 8 Vegeta's LF Zenkai. He came out in 2021. There's a lot of catching up. We have not gotten Kid Buu doesn't have it. Broly, full power Super Saiyan Broly doesn't have his. Gogeta doesn't have his. There's so many super old characters that don't have their Zenkais. LF characters that don't have their Zenkais. They need to ramp up the frequency at which they do this. I think for Blue Goku and Vegeta in particular, I think because of the fact that they are the first ever tag character, I think there's actually a very solid chance that they could be designated as an anniversary Zenkai or Legends Fest Zenkai. I see them saving those guys for an exciting moment, a hype moment. So we'll see what they do with those, but I think it's possible. In terms of Blue Kaioken and Goku Evolution Blue Vegeta, I wouldn't really say that they quote unquote fell off. Their teams are not in a crazy good spot. I mean, Universe Reps, it's actually really, it is very funny to think about the fact that Universe reps got hurt more by UI Goku's release than they got helped. And I think the biggest problem with them is just the fact that they don't have the defensive utility that a lot of other main, big heavy hitting characters have. You take a look at like the past 5, 6, 7 major releases, they probably have the worst defensive mechanics besides Super Vegeta. Super Vegeta has probably the worst defensive mechanics, but they're not that far behind Super Vegeta in terms of how bad their defensive mechanics are. They have like the slight key reduction and the arts power down whenever the enemy uses cards, but I mean they're taking massive damage per card, right? And then they get locked in by UI and they just die. So I think there's that, and there's also just the fact that it's tough for them to combo a long time when you have UI Goku in these matches. Like UI Goku doesn't let you just sit there and combo forever. So that's obviously what they want to do, and they can't do that as effectively anymore. Do I think Rising Rush should neglect blast damage? What does that even mean? Do you think we should have a damage reduction when Vanish is not at 100% to encourage less passive playing? Do I think Rising Rush should neglect blast damage at all? I'm not really too sure what that means. Like the blast cards just do no damage? I'm not entirely sure what that is referring to. Do I think we should have a damage reduction when Vanish is not at 100% to encourage less passive playing? Damage reduction when Vanish is not at 100%. So when the opponent doesn't have Vanish, they gain damage reduction? I feel like that would encourage more passive play, unless I'm misunderstanding what he's saying. In terms of just in terms of discouraging passive play, people are gonna push back on what I'm about to say here, but I actually really do think that Super 17 was a step in the right direction in order to achieve that goal. I think Super 17 has a lot of issues. I'm not going to deny that Super 17 doesn't have its problems. There's a lot of aspects of the character that are annoying for sure, but there is one very, very good aspect of the character that I think really, really heavily it really heavily incentivizes aggressive / proactive play, which is the fact that his tap attacks and his quick attacks and also tap shots too lock strikes and blue cards, because it allows you to follow up more easily without worrying about the opponent countering you with like blast armor and stuff like that. So I actually kind of do hope they create more characters that have gimmicks like that, if they're not going to change the battle system. Because at this point, it doesn't really feel like they're going to change the battle system too much in terms of that, like interactivity with how like quick attacks work or tackles work. I think that's probably set in stone at this point because of how long they've been in the game, those mechanics. But in terms of individual characters having interactivity with proactive gameplay styles being the dominant way to play the game, that's a very good way to promote aggressive play style. So I think Super 17 actually is a step in the right direction with that. Although, I will admit that there are some problems with him. All right, let me actually close these tabs. He's finally loaded, huh? Yeah. Nice, dude. 500 years to load. All right. Let's see. What is the likelihood that Legends will collab with Heroes or Xenoverse, and when do you think that merger would happen? Well, it wouldn't be a merger. It would just be like a game using other characters, right? I don't know if they're going to collab with Xenoverse, just because Xenoverse is not the hot thing right now, right? I mean, it's fairly old. Heroes, I could see it just because Heroes has very unique characters that Legends wouldn't be able to implement if it wasn't doing a collab with Heroes. So I could see it happening, but I feel like I've addressed this so many times before, and I will maintain the sentiment that I wouldn't really expect the same level of a Heroes collab that like Dokkan has with Heroes. Dokkan does a collab with Heroes, and they get like 500 zillion characters, Dokkan Awakenings, EZAs, free-to-play character. Like there's a million things going on. Legends would collab with Heroes, and they'd get like 2 or 3 maximum new characters, because it's so much harder to actually create. That's not harder, but there's a lot more investment in terms of dev time, in terms of actual financial investment that goes into creating characters in Legends, because of how much more intricate the actual like they're 3D models. 3D models. There's voices for every single thing that they're doing. It's a lot more work goes into creating characters in Legends than Dokkan. So it could happen with Heroes. And also, you also have to remember the fact that if they did collab with Heroes and they did come out with like 2 or 3 new summonable characters with a Heroes collab attached to it, that would be taking the place of a normal release, right? So it would basically be, instead of getting an LF for the month, they'd give us that banner, is what it would be. LOE didn't have a proper lineup in 2 years. The team has been in this weird cycle of getting one good new unit for their 2-year-old core lineup, then 8 months pass, that good unit is being power crept, and so on. Not even going to mention the Frieza Saga campaign without a new Frieza. Yeah, I actually was thinking about this the other day, and is this the worst that LOE has ever been? It might be. This is a terrible time for LOE. Let me pull up the LOE tag. Let's use him. It's gonna load. Let's see. Lineage of Evil. Here we go. Okay, now it's loading. This tag is literally it is a dead tag. You cannot run LOE. I mean, you can try. I don't. When was the last time I actually encountered somebody using LOE? I think was it during Festival? Probably no. Yeah, I do remember, actually. The last time I encountered somebody using full LOE was during part 1 of Legends Fest, because this Golden Frieza had just come out. And Goku and Frieza were still pretty good, obviously, during part 1 of Festival. I think at this point, this character's probably done, right? I mean, you could definitely still use them. They have a lot of tools still, but they're nowhere close to as good as they were. And their gauge is fine. They get crushed. Their defenses are terrible. Like, they're so bad. And that is a common theme amongst LOE in general. Just there's like, who is defending on this team? No one. There's not a single character that can do anything defensively. Like, the best defensive character is probably this guy because he has a second life. I guess you could even say this guy because of his disrupt, but it's like, you can just punch through that right now. Like, this guy's Zenkai was terrible. This guy aged in 2 seconds. He's a pre-Beast Gohan character. Like, there's a clear bifurcation in meta characters: pre-Beast Gohan and post-Beast. I'm talking about Blue Beast Gohan. Pre-Blue Beast Gohan and post-Blue Beast. Like, if you're a pre-Blue Beast Gohan character, you cannot be used. Yeah, I mean, this is. I would actually say with confidence that LOE is probably at its lowest point ever right now. It is bad, especially when we have the new rating match Proud system coming out. They think they really think we're gonna use 6 LOE characters. Who's the 6th character? Like, okay, let's go through the usable units here. We have Golden Frieza, that's 1. Goku and Frieza, that's 2. Now what? Those are your 2 usable LOE units. I actually think this guy can still be okay. I mean, he's super old now, but he does still provide a lot of value. I'll put him, sure, let's just say 3. Revival Frieza's 4, sure. Are we bringing these 2? Zenkai Full Power Frieza 5, Final Form Cooler 6? Is that seriously our LOE team? That's our LOE team. I would probably bring like Zenkai Chilled over Cooler. Like, I don't know. Like, this guy's actually, I think, a little bit underrated with his equipment, but I mean, still, he's not. I think LOE is pretty bad. I think as an LOE mega fan, I am not feeling too good about LOE here. I don't know. I think this team, like, straight up needs like 2 monsters. I think they needed a Summonable Ultra, and then I think they need an LF. And at that point, we can start talking about LOE being a usable team. But this team is in the dumps right now. They are in the dumps. This is a very bad time for LOE. I actually would also agree with what this guy is saying. Didn't have a proper lineup in 2 years. Yes, that is true. The team has been in this weird cycle of getting one good new unit for their 2-year-old core lineup. Yeah, that is true. I mean, honestly, I think the main problem is just the fact that this quote unquote team is pretty much just one character. It's Frieza. We get a new cooler every 3 years. We get a new cooler. We get purple cooler, We got like this green metal cooler. We got red cooler. Like that's it. Frieza and Cooler is this team, but it's really just Frieza. The entire tag is one character. So it becomes tough to expect this team to get like buff after buff after buff when it's literally just one character. Do I think we'll see more units with a unique similar to LF Super 17 with the tap attacks, quick attacks, ceiling strikes? Yeah, I just talked about this. Or do you think we'll be seeing new battle system change to promote more aggressive play rather than more units with the Super 17 unique ability? I think the chances are higher that we will get individual characters that have those traits. I think there's a possibility that they just straight up do a blanket change to the battle system, but there would have to be significant changes to like the core elements of the battle system in terms of like changing the way that quick attacks work, changing the way that you can follow up with quick attacks, changing the way tackles work. There's a lot of, I think, intricacies that go into that, and that would actually have like profound impacts on the core elements of the game. And so I think they more so are going to promote aggressive gameplay with individual kits as opposed to general battle system changes. But I actually am pretty excited to see how they handle that, because I think they actually, again, contrary to popular opinion, I actually do think Super 17 was handled pretty well. New Revival Legends limited character being like the unit can do an LF before Revival and after a Revival, or an LF like Purple Cell, but when he dies, he does a counter attack, and if your health reaches 0, it becomes the LF. If we get Vegeta do full FF team. I understand what you're saying. So he's saying like there's a death attack that can be an LF. The only problem I have with that is I don't know how much I like having like death attacks actually killing the opponent, because it comes down to a situation where it's like you actually can't do anything. It's kind of similar to like it would basically be like a situation like this. You're fighting Ultra Janemba with a red character, and you only have strikes in your hand, and you can't switch. That's what the situation is, right? You attack and you lose, essentially. But it's even worse than that, because like there's instances where you can like strike cancel and get the strikes out of your hand. But in a situation like this, where like you lose by killing the opponent, like that actually has the potential to be like super mega toxic. I could see them doing something like that because they've becoming more and more desensitized to creating toxic mechanics, I think, recently. But that has the potential to be really toxic. Like you could literally AFK from your phone and win. So, we'll see. I mean, that's the reason why a lot of these like death attack characters don't kill the opponent, right? Tapion's Harudagarn death AoE doesn't kill the opponent. It leaves them at 1 health. Magenta and Cell Max don't kill the opponent. They leave them on 1 health. Purple Cell's AoE death attack doesn't kill the opponent. It leaves them on 1 health. There's a reason why that happens that way. It would be so insane if they could actually kill. What is the most unique character you can think of? And what can be the most toxic, absurd game mechanic that isn't introduced yet? I forgot when I came up with this idea, but I think it was like a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta that automatically gained priority when entering the battlefield or something. Because is that really different than Ultra Vegito Blue's mechanic? Ultra Vegito Blue enters and removes your vanish. Yes, there's obviously a very short window of time that you have to avoid it, but there are situations where you actually cannot avoid it, right? If the opponent tackles you and you strike to counter their tackle, they can just switch into Vegito and it's automatically it auto gains priority for your opponent because they remove your vanish. It is literally auto priority. So I'm thinking of like a mechanic where it's like a special animation like Ultra UI Goku's anti-switch mechanic, where it's like you enter the battlefield for the first time with with Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and it plays an animation of him just automatically gaining priority on whoever your character is. That would be so toxic, but I actually could see them doing that. I could 100% see that. Because like, what is the next step here? Ultra Vegito Blue removes your vanish when he enters the battlefield. Like, that is I don't think people understand how ridiculous that is. So, I mean, the next logical step after that is you just literally have a character that gains priority automatically when they enter the battlefield. I can see it happening. Do I think a new mechanic will be added during Anniversary, and what do I think it will be? A new mechanic during Anniversary? Do they typically add... I feel like whenever they add new mechanics, it's usually Legends Fest. New mechanic during... I don't know, actually. I would actually say I'm not anticipating any game-breaking new mechanic. But we'll see. I don't know. Nothing like pops out right now, comes to mind right now. But we'll have to see. It's possible. Do I think Universe 3 robots, Dr. Wheelo from Dragon Ball, and Automagetta should be added to Legends? It would depend on how big a lot of them are, right? I mean, like, Dr. Wheelo is probably too big. Magetta is probably too big. The Universe 3 robots, yes. I don't think they're too big, but I mean, like, that's... You think they're gonna... You think they're gonna like spend dev time on those guys? Maybe. We'll see. If I were the producer, what changes would I implement to the game? What would I keep? I mean, this is a very general question. I think I actually did make a tweet about this, but I think something that the game should do more of is considering the removal of stuff that doesn't work. And that's mostly in reference to PvE content or PvE events. And obviously, if you guys know how much I hate co-op, I'm talking about co-op. I'm talking about basically, honestly, it's like almost every single PvE event. I think co-op has been a disaster from day one. They have attempted to fix co-op. They've attempted to change it. There's been a lot of different things added to it. There's been a lot of different things that have been changed about it. And I think there has been one constant thing about co-op that has remained true since its introduction to the game. I think it was back in I think it was the end of 2019 they introduced co-op. We're now in 2024. There is one thing that has been constant with the mode since it came out until now, and that thing is that it sucks. It's true. The mode is bad. And if that's the case, and 5 years later we're still saying that this mode is bad, my vote would be to remove the mode that is bad. Right? We are getting new, like we know that we're getting new modes. We're getting the guild versus guild system. We're getting the new PvP mode, the rating match proud system. The last thing I want to see for this game, because I've experienced this with other games before, is when the game doesn't get rid of bad things and they just implement new things and keep those bad things around and don't either adjust them or don't remove them. Because what ends up happening is it just slowly begins to build up bloat within the game. And then before you know it, you're going to be logging into Legends and you're going to have to do 500 runs of different modes every single day to get your dailies done, to get the rewards attached to each mode. I'm telling you, it's going to be a mess. If they don't actually go back and, again, either update or change these modes that are bad or straight up remove them. For me, I am more so in the camp of just removing them. Honestly, they could even remove them temporarily. Or they could have a rotation of modes. You know, they could do, for example, co-op is going to be available for the first 2 weeks of every month, and then the last 2 weeks of every month we're gonna change it up and we're gonna be doing full power battle instead. You don't have to have 5 zillion different modes running at the same time. You could have things be interchangeable, but I think having way too many things in the game at the same time, especially things that are not fun to do or things that are bad, is going to hurt the game overall. I am more so in the camp of they should be experimenting. Like, I actually think full power battle was a cool concept. And I think frankly speaking, I think it actually does have the potential to be pretty fun if they make changes to it, the correct changes to it. But for a mode like co-op, that has been in the game for almost 5 years now, that I think the majority of people playing the game can agree is just not fun to play, has too many issues, is boring, is repetitive. I think it's time to get rid of it. And I think it's time to experiment with different modes. Make a new mode, have it replace co-op, and then, make the changes necessary to the new mode so that it's better. And I think what they should do is they should constantly be creating new modes and different ways to play the game. And, every so often they should evaluate what the player sentiment is on these modes, make changes to the modes, and then after a certain amount of time, if people still don't like those modes, then they get rid of them. And then they keep doing that cycle over and over again until they found, the modes that people enjoy playing. And then they can establish a core foundation of content that people actually enjoy. Instead of creating a mode like co-op that is actually like the definition of what co-op is, it is a failed mode. And then this failed mode becomes entrenched in the game for 5 years, and there's not anything that is done to fix it. That is a bad, the thing with that too, is we say like, oh, we can't blame, just one person because this mode is not good. We can't blame one person because this character design is not good. It is a team effort, blah, blah, blah. That, I think, again, I might be wrong on this, but that to me seems like an executive decision that a director or a producer would make. And so if I was the producer, what I would be doing is I would be looking to see how the actual different modes that exist in the game are managed. Has this mode been adjusted? Have we looked at the statistics to tell us whether or not this mode is worth investing our time and development resources into, or should we just scrap it and focus on something else? That, I think, is the job of a game producer or director. And I will, again, I don't have information on the inner workings of how these things work with Legends, but I will just say that it feels to me that has been a failure of the management of the game. Co-op is a perfect example of how the management of the game has failed. So that's what I would change. I would have a more dynamic rotation of modes, and I'd basically be creating new modes. Obviously, I'm not going to be spitting a new mode out every week, but every 6 months there's going to be some kind of new mode introduced. Judging player feedback on the mode, judging statistics on the mode, how often is it played, how often are people under that fall, how often are players that fall under different under different buckets, how often are they playing, and then you could obviously do different analysis on the statistics that you can gather from that. But there's ways to see which modes are the best for the game, and I would highly doubt that co-op falls under that umbrella. Would an Ultra Super Saiyan 2, I assume you mean Gohan, release bring back the hybrids meta because all signs lead to Zenkai of LF Future Gohan? Really? Zenkai LF Future Gohan? I would not say that's the case. I think if there's going to be an LF Zenkai that comes out during the Cell Saga campaign, it definitely more so seems to me that it would be for Purple Cell. Obviously the old Purple Cell. So there's two different ways for me to look at this, right? Do I want them to release Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan? The answer is yes and no. I would say yes from just the standpoint of him being super hype and exciting. He would probably have insane animations. It would be very, very impactful, I think, in terms of just for the overall excitement of the game. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, one of the most popular characters that exists, one of the most iconic scenes that exists in Dragon Ball. It would be great for the game if Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan came out right now. And then on the other hand, when I say no, I mean no because the game would actually be unplayable. We talked about this tag, LOE, and how bad it is. Well, there's another tag that exists right now, and it's called Sun Family. And I don't know of any other way of putting this to you guys, but Sun Family is pretty dumb right now. It's a pretty stupid team. Goku and Bardock, Spirit Bomb GT Goku, UI Goku, Beast Gohan. Like, this tag doesn't need anything else. Think of how absurd this is. I think when people think of Sun Family right now, people mostly think of UI Goku, Goku and Bardock, and Beast Gohan. That's usually the team composition that I encounter when I fight somebody using a Sun Family team. Think of this. Legends releases Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Can you picture Beast Gohan being replaced on Sun Family? We're really going to release a character that is going to be replacing Beast Gohan on one of his main teams. When we take a look at other teams, like, I guess I can just pull up Omega here. Let's just pull up Regen. When we take a look at teams like this, would we want a character to release that replaces Beast Gohan on one of his teams? Or would we want a character to release that replaces, like, I don't know, like Orange Piccolo on this team? The answer is definitely this. I'd be okay with Orange Piccolo being replaced on Regen. Would you guys be okay with Beast Gohan being replaced on this team? So basically what I'm saying with this is we need to be able to help teams that actually need help. Right? I don't want to kick Beast Gohan off of one of his teams because he doesn't make the optimal cut for the team. Whereas for a team like Vegeta Clan, I'd be okay with replacing. It's not loading again. I'd be okay with replacing. Where is he? Past him. I'd be okay with replacing like Sword of Hope Trunks on Vegeta Clan with a new character, obviously. Replace Beast Gohan. Replace Sword of Hope Trunks. Replace Beast Gohan. Replace Sword of Hope Trunks. I'm gonna go with Sword of Hope Trunks. So I think we need characters to come out that are going to help teams that actually need help, as opposed to, yeah, I know it would be super exciting. It would be super hyped to get Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan right now, but it would be very, very boring. It would be you would just run Sun Family. You would run into Sun Family every single match. Every single match. If I had to say what character looked most likely in terms of an Ultra for this campaign, I think it probably would be some kind of Cell. The thing about Cell too, look at this. Androids, Future, Regen, powerful opponent. I'm not really too sure if Androids needs like some super powerful character. Their Androids is pretty good. Not really too worried about Androids. Future actually could use some help. I know Future was a team we would all meme on, and it always got the help it needed. It always, had the best bench characters, always has the best Senkais, always has the best, LFs, has the best characters. But Future actually is not in a great spot here. I could get on board with Future getting some help. Regen could use some help. Powerful opponent could use some help. So I think a Cell dropping right now as an Ultra, maybe an Ultra Perfect Form Cell, that could be a really strong release right now because he'd help a lot of teams that need it. But I would not deny that an Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan wouldn't be super hype. Is there any chance that Gamma 1, 2 will become usable again? I like the character, but I can't use them in the current meta. I'm using Super 17 UI Jiren because I have to. Sometimes the Beast Gohan team, which is fun. You don't want another Cell right now. Well, I mean, if you're going to be... It kind of contradicts your first point, right? I think a Cell coming out could potentially help the Gammas to become usable again. I guess I'll just say I don't think the Gammas are like not usable. I think the Gammas are good enough to where you could still use them now. There are a lot of red units that exist. I think Super 17 heavily crippled that character's usability for sure. But the Gammas are good enough to where you can make them work. And I think if we get an Ultra Cell, maybe he's green, maybe he's blue, that could really help the Gammas be usable again, could cover their weakness. Maybe again, covering their weakness would be blue. So if we get like a blue Ultra Cell, that could really help the Gammas a lot. So we'll do a few more. Do I think that it's time to see units that can fuse mid-battle? For example, a Goku and Vegeta unit that can fuse together into Vegito, not like a revival, but a proper fusion. And with that, how would it work? I thought it was time for that last year. I thought it was time for that when the Tag 4s dropped. I think a lot of people were expecting Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta tag character, and then either through some kind of revival or main ability thing, maybe they have a unique gauge where you tag enough times, you fill it up, and then when it's filled up, they end up fusing. I thought, and a lot of other people thought as well, that the Tag 4s would be the introduction to that mechanic, and it wasn't. I think for the 6th anniversary, someone asked earlier in this this Twitter thread if I had any predictions for the 6th anniversary. That could definitely be one. I know people are sick of Goku and Vegeta tag characters, but a Goku and Vegeta tag character that fuses into Vegito from the Buu Saga. We have a Super Gogeta. There's always got to be the equivalent for Vegito, right? Every time we get Super Gogeta, we got to get a new Vegeta, Super Vegito. Every time we get a blue Gogeta, we got to get a blue Vegito, and vice versa. So because we did get the Revival Pikkon into Super Gogeta, I could see them giving us some kind of equivalent Vegito at some point this year. So I think it's coming. In terms of if it's actually going to be a fusing character, I could see it. I think at some point it'll happen, yeah. And if they're going to do a new mechanic for the 6th anniversary, that's like a perfect way to do it. Part 1, fusing Goku and Vegeta into Super Vegito. That would be insane. That would do very well. That would do very well. What do I think Vegeta Clan needs to become a top team in the game? And why do I think both Dokkan and Legends have treated him so poorly? Yeah, I don't know. That is as big of a mystery to me as it is to you. In terms of what Vegeta Clan actually needs, so I actually, fortunately, already have Vegeta Clan pulled up here. Let's clean this up a little bit. So again, I think I did already record a video talking about my thoughts on Super Vegeta. This video will go up after that. So you guys will have already seen my discussion video talking about Super Vegeta and what I don't like about him. The main problem with this character is not so much that he individually is not as good as he should have been. It's the fact that this team continuously gets really badly shafted. Vegeta Clan has just not... It has not stopped getting flogged, basically, for years. The biggest problem with this team, and I think I made the same exact comment in that video where I talked about Super Vegeta, the main issue with this team is the fact that there's no special abilities here. There's no revival. There's no uncancelable endurance. There's no AoE green. I mean, there's an AoE green card with these guys, but you can't really use these guys anymore. There's no AoE green card. There's no Goku and Frieza unique gauge for Rising Rush counter. Cover Rescue isn't really a thing that exists. Like, there's... all these characters are just enter the battlefield, do damage, don't tank well. That's all this team is. Super Vegeta enters the battlefield, has his problems, can do some pretty good damage, doesn't tank well. Bulla is a pretty solid support character. Can enter the battlefield, do some damage, doesn't tank well. Pan, Trunks, and Giru can enter the battlefield, gets cover nullification, can do some pretty good damage, can't tank well. Goku and Vegeta can enter the battlefield, string together long combos, kind of want the team to be built around them, can do a lot of damage, doesn't tank well. And those are honestly the 4 usable characters on this team. I mean, Vegeta and Trunks, using them, though. Tag 4's using them. I mean, they're better than Vegeta and Trunks, but I don't, like... This is not a character where you're like rearing to go in PvP with this character. I mean, they're fine. I don't know. They enter the battlefield, they do a lot of damage, and they can't tank. The Buu Duo. They enter the battlefield, they do a lot of damage. Well, do they? Yeah, I guess. With the equipment, I guess. And then you enter the standby mode, and that's their special thing. Like, honestly, you know what the funniest thing about this Vegeta Clan team is? There is a character that does have a special ability, and it's this character. This character's preparation mode is like the only special ability on this entire tag. Grade 8 Vegeta has an AoE green, which is pretty valuable here. This Majin Vegeta is not usable anymore. This guy has endurance, but it's cancelable. Like there's just a lot of mediocrity here. So I think what we need to do is get characters that have like revival here. We need characters that are like, you know, AoE green card spamming. We need those annoying mechanics. Vanish removal. Some kind of like green card vanish removal. Some kind of long range green card priority gaining ability. Stuff like that is what this team needs. And it just doesn't have any of that. So that's why it's not as good as it should be. I think we'll do 2 more and then we'll end here. What are, in my opinion, some necessary equips that new players should / need to have? I've always struggled on what to prioritize in Bonanza. Okay, I actually have not, I don't think I've really gotten many questions about this before, so we'll go ahead and take a look at the equipment. I mean, there's actually like a million equipment that are very powerful, so I'm not going to go through everything, but in terms of like a newer player, I don't think it's really worth going for like the super ridiculous unique equipment here. Like the first thing I would actually say for newer players is that these equips, these Zenkai character specific equips are actually like it's bait. It is 100% bait. You're going to be spending so many resources to try and get good rolls or even decent rolls on these equips that you can only use for one character. And even when you get good rolls on these equips, like the characters are not that good. I would say if you're a newer player, the last thing you want to focus on are these equips. These are like these have like very little value, very little value. I would imagine that if you're a new player, let me actually just pull this up here. I would imagine if you're a newer player, you're probably going to prioritizing tags like Saiyan, Sun Family. So we'll primarily be looking at equipment that helps like Saiyan and Sun Family. You could be trying to go for some of these unique equipments, but the problem with some of these unique equipment is the fact that they're very specific. Let me see here. So where was it? It's tough to sort through all these here. Let's see this. No, not that one. This one came out with Blue Kaioken Goku Evolution Blue Vegeta for Universe Survival Saga. This is a very good one because it's very broad in terms of the conditions. 35% blast. You got a bunch of strike and blast defense, health restoration. This is a very good equip. Again, because a lot of characters can use this. This is pretty good for UI, but it's Universe Rep in yellow, so it's pretty specific. I actually probably would say to avoid this unless you only have UI Goku. If you have Goku and Bardock, this is really strong. And it's also applicable to Saiyans, but the problem with this is you need to have a Bardock on your team to get this slot. If you do have Goku and Bardock, this is an insane equip. If you have Pikkon, this is an insane equip. Basically, if you're using Pikkon, you always use this. And if you're using Goku and Bardock, you always use this one. What else do we have here? This is a really good one. Came out during Legends Fest from Superhero. There's a lot of superhero characters that exist in the game right now. I think this is good on pretty much every single superhero character besides like the Gammas because they're blast based. But this is a really good equip for superhero characters. This is good for Sun Family. Where's the Beast? There it is. These two are really good as well. I believe these are co-op equips though. So it's going to be pretty tough to get their good slot 1 rolls. But I would actually say that here's the main takeaway, I guess, that I'll end with in terms of this equipment section here. You don't need super high rolls in all these slots for equipment. I would say as long as you get the equipment to an S rank, you're fine. Unless we're specifically talking about like unique equipment for like LF characters. So like, I don't know, let's just pull like Future Gohan's equipment, or let's pull like Bardock's equipment. Like, obviously, at that point, it's going to matter whether or not slot 3 is a good roll or not. But for the majority of equipment, like for this equipment, or for this equipment, or for this equipment, as long as you have an S rank, I would say that's probably fine. You're not going to need to, oh, I got to go in with every single equipment has to be a Z+ or a God rank. That's not true. It is very minimal stat increases. Even from an S to God rank, you're not getting a gigantic marginal increase in stats. It's not that big. I guess we could take a look at some of the non-unique equips down here. Let's see if anything pops out at me as I just quickly scan through this. This is pretty good right here for Saiyans. If you're using a full Saiyan team, this is going to give 5% to Pure Blast per Saiyan battle member. So if you're running a full Saiyan team, you're going to get 15% Pure Blast here, as well as double defense. Very solid. What else do we have? So that one's pretty good. I would say there's a lot of equips that exist in the game here. If you're going to be running EXs, which probably isn't the case, you want to make sure that you're at least going to be using the EX equips. So we have the Future Gohan one over here. This is the one for blue. This is a good one for regen, 7% to pure blast damage, defense, special move damage. This is the red EX equip. Let me see what else we have. This is a really good one for hybrids, 5% pure strike per hybrid battle member. This is a really good one too. I would say this is one you're probably going to want to prioritize. All players should have at least 2 of these, I would say. It's 5% pure strike per Sun family and double defense. Really, really powerful one. This one, it's all you, Gohan. This is really good. What else? Anything else? There's a blast, pure blast equip for Frieza Force. This used to be one that everybody would run, is Battle of Saiyans. Strike defense, HP, and then pure blast or strike defense. It's a lot too when you face a Saiyan. Really, really strong. Honestly, it's probably still pretty good. This is probably still pretty good. Anything else? This is a pure blast for future. Those are really, I think, the main ones. At least you want to look at. There's like the Android 17 one, which can still be pretty decent. Yeah, I mean, once you play the game, you understand, you start to understand which stats you really should be looking to go for on these equipment, but equips that are giving just, you know, high stats, essentially. Strike attack, strike defense, blast attack, blast defense. HP is really, really strong on equipment. So, yeah, generally that's what you're looking for. We'll do one more question, and I think we'll wrap up. What would I do to make Vegeta Clan top? Okay, I already answered this. Yeah, just give him special abilities. The team has no special mechanics at all. Why does the game hate Vegeta? And why do they always make every Gohan broken? Yeah, it honestly does feel like there is like an agenda. It really does. Do I think it's the right and perfect time to release Ultra FSK Gohan this campaign? Okay, so I already mentioned this, but I will say again, it would be really awesome to get him, in the sense that it would be really hype and it would be really exciting, and it would be a big boost to the game in terms of excitement. I just don't think it would be a good time to release him, because it would be so, like, it would be super hype, and then like day 3 of fighting the same team over and over again, it would be boring. Because all you would see would be something like you would not be able to fight another team besides Sun Family. Now that we've got every major hype character for Legends Fest Anniversary, who do I think is the next for Legends Fest 2024 Ultra? If Ultra Gogeta Force saved for 6th anniversary, will we see a new rarity this year? I don't think we're going to see a new rarity anytime even remotely soon. Like, Ultra is it, right? I don't even really I think we are eventually going to get Ultra LFs, but even that's like technically that's not a new rarity, because it's just a new designation on top of being an Ultra. Like, the rarity is Ultra. LF characters are not even a new rarity. LF is just a designation for sparking characters. So, in terms of like who could be the next Legends Fest character, I mean, it could just be Mastered Ultra Instinct, right? We have Sign, it could just be Mastered. So, all right, we're gonna end there. This was over an hour long, so hopefully I was able to get through some decent comments here. Let me know down below what you guys think of what we discussed here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one.